Hey, movie fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Uncharted Media Podcast. This is episode 197. Halloween ends somehow this week. It feels weird because I feel like I'm not seeing a whole lot of marketing, and also we're recording this Tuesday night, and the movie comes out Thursday night, and there's still no reviews out for it. So, I'm not worried at all that they're not going to stick the landing.
Sketch.
I mean, I've been worried about this movie for a while, but it's a Halloween movie, so I'm going to make sure it goes out with the respect it deserves. Probably a subpar sequel that should have died a while ago. But it's Halloween, so I'm always excited for it, whether the movie wants me to be excited or not. So, in honor of Halloween ends and potentially Halloween movies ending for a while, they'll be back, just will probably be a few years. We're going to do an episode that we've already kind of done before. It was like episode 7 or 8, like a Halloween retrospective. But in that time, we've had plenty of new Halloween movies. So what we're going to do is going to look at the various timelines within the Halloween franchise and just kind of give a broad retrospective of everything you need to know when it comes to Halloween. Because when it comes to horror, Halloween is kind of like the choose your own adventure story of the horror genre of like, well, I don't like the story avenue, but I like this one. So I'll split off into this path. Then you could kind of do that. And it's all kinds of weird, but Josh, how you doing tonight?
We're doing, my dude. It's been a busy week. I have something cool happening this weekend that I'm not going to talk about because for reasons. But yeah, man, it's
His
been a busy week.
lawyers told him not to say anything.
Correct. It would be illegal to say something at this point. But no, yeah, man, it's been a chill week. Not really much going on as outside of work, but
You watching anything?
Oh, I stay watching that Rings of Power.
How many more episodes are there?
So right now there are 7, and
is it an 8 or 10 episode season?
It's got to be 10, at least in my mind. At least like for this season to have any kind of finality, I feel like it's gotta be 10. See, because like episode 7 is definitely comes across as very kind of doom and gloom and blah blah, but like it's more just like, oh, like all this bad stuff that we've been building to for 7 episodes is finally coming to fruition, but people are also in places in which to be able to like do something about that evil. But we'll see what happens. I appreciate that the the whole story that we know that they're building to, it doesn't feel like it's only in season 1, which is cool. I like that they're making the story longer than just like, all right, so we're going to explain why these dummies took some stuff from Sauron, which has always been to me like a story point that never quite made sense of like, okay, cool. So this guy was the secondhand man to Morgoth. So we're just gonna like take these rings of power from him. There's no way that could possibly go bad.
Bad could possibly go wrong in this situation.
Exactly.
So I got 3 things, 2 movies and 1 something else. The something else, obviously, I had to watch Werewolf by Night the very first day it was available. Honestly, it's the best Marvel anything that they put on Disney Plus ever. I don't care that it's only 50 minutes. The loving attention to detail is so good, right down to, I don't know if you've seen it by now because it's been making the rounds on the internet. The Marvel logo intro for Werewolf by Night is so perfect for what the special is. It's a lot more violent than I was expecting, and I know people were just like, yeah, it's violent, but it's violent, and I like it. It's not so much that they just, like, desaturated everything and made it black and white to make it look like Universal Monsters. The cinematography, the tone, the campy joke, quote-unquote jokes, the campiness to it is all very classic Universal Monsters, and I love it so much, and there's characters in this that I'm like, I don't care that this is a one-off. Y'all need to come back. Without giving into spoilers, there's a character named Ted. I need Ted in more things because Ted is a beautiful thing. I love Ted so much. I also watched Hulu's Hellraiser movie that came out because I was hearing some good
Yeah.
things about it. I like this about as much as I can like a Hellraiser movie. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Josh and
You're not the gore kind of guy. That is
I
not
don't mind
your
gore,
thing.
but Josh and I both are just kind of like, we don't really get Hellraiser. I know there's a big like fan base that's just like, you just don't get it. You're right. We just don't get it.
We just don't.
I've never understood Hellraiser, but also I don't want to diminish it because and push my glasses up my nose and be like a Halloween fan. I'm just like, well, all of our movies have come out theatrically, but all of our movies have come out theatrically. Like over
They're
half
not
the Hellraiser
good
movies.
either, though.
I would take any of the crappy Halloween sequels over any of the crappy Hellraiser sequels. This is a
okay.
This is a
that's fair.
well-made Hellraiser movie. It's just that I don't care about Hellraiser. Like this, if you're a Hellraiser fan, one, you've already probably seen this by now. You don't need me to talk about it. It's the closest to that original Hellraiser in a very long time. I've watched some other videos leading up to this to just be like, what was the franchise like? And well, there's a lot of movies that weren't intended to be Hellraiser movies that ended up being Hellraiser movies just to hold the rights. Yeah, it's a well-made movie. There is some good gore. The puzzle box actually feels like a puzzle box and not just like a, all right, you're 2 turns away on a Rubik's Cube type of situation. Like there's actually, it feels like a living, breathing puzzle. It's interesting. The Big said it's not gonna be my favorite horror movie of the year, not by a long shot. However, there was a movie that a friend at work recommended to me, and I had never heard of this. It's a movie that came out this year on Shudder called Deadstream. And honestly, this is the best recommendation this coworker has ever given me. So basically the premise is a disgraced YouTuber, a la like a Logan Paul type, has like lost all his endorsements, everything else, because he's a total douchebag. And so he's just like, I've got one last stunt to get me back relevant. I'm going to stay the night in a haunted house. And if I leave the house, I lose my sponsorship and all the deals are off. Sound good? And so it's a found footage movie where this kind of douchebag has to stay the night in a haunted house. And it's the perfect combination of comedy, but actual genuine horror. It's a little uncomfortable how perfectly they nail the, like, ADD, hyperactive YouTuber personality. Like, not necessarily us. We're not the super, like, quick cut every half second, but it's that type of style that, like, you've seen at least a handful of those videos and you're just like, this tone is so... But by the end of it, you're kind of rooting for this guy. There's a really good story arc in there. So, but also there's some really good scares when they want to. Without saying too much, there's one part that actually made me almost pause the movie because I was laughing so hard. So he's live streaming the whole thing to his audience, and as clues are being unveiled about the mystery, people are calling and be like, hey, I figured it out. It's this. And so one person's just like, hey, my grandma figured out this thing. She said that thing that you broke was the one thing keeping you alive. And so that pans over to the grandma and she's like, you need this, and this. And he's like, I broke that. And she looks dead down the camera. Oh crap, he's going to die. And I'm like, the way that the grandma delivered that, I was like, all right, I'm on board now. But there's some genuinely good scares. There's generally some funny moments. There's a couple lines that I was not proud that when I was making fun of the movie while I was watching it, the character would say the exact same line after I was done with it. I was like, am I the problem here? Like, they'd be like, the guy's just like, I'm gonna do this adventure. I'm gonna go there and back again. And I'm just like, like a hobbit. And the guy's just like, it's just like a hobbit's tale. I'm going, gosh dang it. Like, don't you make
audience.
Don't make fun of the people making fun of your movie. How dare you be that self-aware? But yeah, Josh, I would look up Deadstream. It's only like an hour and 20 minutes. Very short, but surprisingly good scares and a little too close to home if you're in the YouTube bubble, but I think that's why it works even more so in the humor department.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, that's definitely, that has a, like, a trips, I think not these days would be closer to like a Twitch streamer.
They
kind
do.
of
Yeah, he
vibe.
uses a not Twitch, but Twitch, basically.
Yeah. So what was it, Mixer?
Or
that dead
Spree
that
with Joe Keery.
yeah. Oh man, those are some dead streaming sites. But yeah. No, that sounds like fun. It sounds like a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to be trying to be checking out Werewolf by Night either tonight or maybe tomorrow. We'll see. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's only
like
50 minutes. It's short.
exactly. I'm just so excited. I'm super excited.
Well, it's a good thing Marvel has Werewolf by Night, something giving them good headlines, because lately it has not been good headlines for Marvel, and it's only gotten worse as, not one, not three, but four Marvel projects have now been delayed. Some by only a few months, others significant delays, and I think it all comes back to, one project and one project in particular that we talked about last week. Blade. Oh, Blade. I want to like you. You've got me really, really nervous. However, I think I have an idea about that later. So Marvel has decided to delay Blade, Deadpool 3, Fantastic Four, and Avengers Secret Wars. All of them are delayed. Now, Deadpool and Fantastic Four, I think, are only delayed by a few months.
Yeah.
But Fantastic Four got delayed from November to February, so that means it's not coming out in 2024 anymore. It's coming out in 2025. I'm going, dang it, Marvel! I don't care if your cookies aren't done in the oven yet. You let those cookies for Fantastic Four come out in a year ending in a 4. Gosh dang it, marketing is more important than the quality of your movie. Clearly. However, it's coming February 14th. So that's a fair enough compromise for me.
We'll take that. Yeah, we'll take
Whatever. Yep.
This Valentine's Day.
Not that soon. But Secret Wars, it means that Secret Wars is now like 4 years away, which I think is for the best. I always thought it was kind of a weird move to have Avengers movies coming out within 6 months of each other. I get that they're probably tied together, but I think the hype for Endgame was because we had a full year to hype it up and build it up. The most significant delay was Blade, and we talked about it last week. They're basically starting from scratch from Blade because the director left the project or was fired. I lean more towards fired. Supposedly the script was really bad, and Mahershala Ali is incredibly frustrated. So that's been delayed by almost a full year, like 10 months, I believe. So, yeah. And I have some of my own theories of what they should do, but before we get into all that, Josh, 4 Marvel projects have been seriously delayed. What's cutting to you the deepest, and are you surprised or not surprised?
I'm not going to use the word surprised here. I think I'm
disappointed.
Disappointed, but also like there's a part of me that's like, okay, cool. So they understand they're in a spot and that it's better to delay than release a bad product. To me, that's kind of oddly reassuring, in a sense, especially when some of these projects are ones I'm actually pretty excited for. I've maintained my excitement for Blade. I cannot wait for a new iteration. Can't wait to see what we do. We haven't had a good like vampire movie in a while. And what better way to have one that's Blade? I can't wait to see somebody do the Blade pose. I'm just excited.
Mother effers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Exactly. I mean, but Deadpool 3 will be fun. Just now knowing that Wolverine is going to be in it. More specifically, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is going to be in it. Honestly, take your time. I'd rather have a great movie than one that's been rushed. It is. I think the Secret Wars one for me makes the most sense. Like you and I said, look, having it 6 months after Kang just kind of feels rushed. I don't know. We don't know what the storylines are and all that, so maybe we're wrong on that. But
it only just got a writer, so
yeah, give us some time to get hyped, like at least a little bit, and at least put us in a position where we can go, oh, Kang put a bunch of pieces together. Now we can speculate where we're going with Secret Wars. I think the biggest disappointment for me is Fantastic Four. I think part of that is just because it has felt like we have been waiting for a Fantastic Four movie for close to a decade. Between
it will be a decade between movies.
Yeah, pretty much. So
No,
it's
the
I
Fan Forstick was 2015.
holy crap. Okay, I didn't realize that. I was just meant because it feels like they announced it like 2, 3 years ago, and it has felt so much longer just because partially because of the pandemic, but also because like we've been so excited and it feels like they keep putting it off. And to me, at the end of the day, like I've already said, I'd rather them delay and then have a fantastic product than rush through production and give us another multiverse of madness. So I'm definitely wary, but again, I'd rather that us have a good product to put out than for them to just rush through it. Like than them have a 90-page script.
With only 2 action scenes. Yeah, this does
Yeah,
not
get
surprise
out of
me that
here.
it's getting delayed because if you're looking at all 4 of these movies, only half of them have a director. Deadpool 3 has
Yeah.
Sean Levy. Fantastic Four only recently got Matt Shackman. But Secret Wars, no idea. Uh, if I was a betting man, which I am not, because I'm not smart enough for that, I would put my
Or
money on
stupid
Ryan
enough.
Coogler directing Secret Wars.
That name sounds familiar. Why do I know that
Black
name?
Panther
Oh, okay. Okay,
and
yeah,
the
yeah.
first
Cool,
Creed
cool, cool.
movie.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Just
I'm down.
because with
Absolutely.
both Black Panther and well, seemingly from Wakanda Forever, he's used to balancing really large casts, and
Hmm.
Marvel clearly trusts him. That would be my guess for Secret Wars. Now we get to Blade, who just lost a director. Having seen a recent project of his, I think the door is wide open for Michael Giacchino to direct the Blade movie because of the job that
Mm,
he just did with Werewolf by Night. Now, granted,
mm,
it's a different style of dark storytelling. It's blatantly an homage to the Universal monsters, but that has such specific attention to detail that I would not be surprised at all if his skills translate to other things. Plus, he's already worked with Marvel for a really long time. He did the
yeah,
entire Spider-Man trilogy with Tom Holland. I think he knocked it out of the park with the music, but his directing for Werewolf by Night was surprisingly great. And I think the tone of that could translate perfectly well to Blade. So it's also wouldn't be unheard of because Kevin Feige likes to pick those obscure names that he trusts. So
yeah.
I'm putting my money on it now more so than Ryan Coogler for Secret Wars. I can absolutely see, and I really hope Michael Giacchino for Blade. If not Michael Giacchino, I guess I can settle for Mike Flanagan. But
Sam
it's
Raimi coming back?
David F. Sandberg. David F. Sandberg leaves Shazam to do Blade instead.
Dog say, I mean, I don't want that to happen to Shazam, but I'd be down. Yeah. James Gunn makes a return for Blade.
No,
Actually, I don't
no.
hate that. I don't hate that.
Nah, he's gonna be too busy with DC stuff. But it's just been a while since we've
DC
seen.
makes movies now?
Mm, let's just say, I think in about 3 weeks we're gonna get some major announcements of some things. We'll
Oh, wait. No, no, no,
we'll
no.
stick
Hold
a
on.
pin in that for
Why?
3 weeks if
No,
I'm
no,
right.
no, what now? What?
We'll stick a
Okay.
pin in that for 3 weeks if I remember to. See if I'm right
You
about
won't.
that. Probably
You
not.
won't.
Uh, it's just now this seems more likely of why we didn't get any Phase 6 announcements at
Hmm.
D23 this past year. Just like we were expecting it, and maybe this is why, because they're just like, the stove is on fire, guys. We should probably, put the fire out before we start setting the table.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
and well, once again, we talked about it last week, but we got to reiterate it here. Kevin Feige needs help. He is stretched way too thin with these projects. I think had he not been dealing with so much other stuff and so many other projects, he would have caught the Blade problems a lot sooner. And
Hmm.
that's apparently a lot of problems. It's just give the man some help. And also, this is probably what the MCU needed right now is just let stuff breathe, because I feel like Marvel now is we've got some new form of Marvel content literally every week that you got to keep on track of. I'm just like,
Hmm.
let's just let some stuff sit for a little bit. Let's digest some stuff before we consume the next Marvel whatever. Like
Yeah.
that's allowed to be a thing, Feige and Bob Paycheck.
I definitely think that's more directed at Bob because he definitely that Feige, if the last 15 years have shown anything, Feige's totally okay with letting stuff breathe. He's totally okay with taking time with their storytelling. I mean, geez, that first arc was forever. Um, but it definitely like I'm okay. Like I said, I'm okay with this. I'd rather have give everybody a little bit more time to get their feet under them, so we don't like all of a sudden start making terrible movies.
So speaking of making terrible movies, video game adaptations usually are that. However, Josh and I will always maintain that there's one or two exceptions. There might be a new big boy on campus when it comes to video game adaptations, as we have the first trailer for the Super Mario Bros. Animated movie from Illumination, the same people that did Despicable Me and the Benedict Cumberbatch Grinch and all Secret Life Pets and stuff like that. And I'll be honest, this trailer is perfection. Like, oh my gosh, it is the most perfect Mario Brothers trailer you can have if you put it on mute. Because I wanted to give Chris Pratt's Mario the benefit of the doubt. I was one of the few people going, hey, he's great in the Lego movie as Emmett. Let's give him a chance. He has voice acting experience. But God, does that not sound like Mario at all? It just sounds like Chris Pratt in a recording booth. Everyone else sounds great. I'm so amped for Jack Black's Bowser. He sounds perfect. And I think it's just because he's got slightly more voice acting experience than Chris Pratt, just because, and we put it in the jar, Kung Fu Panda has an entire trilogy, but also I feel like he also voiced Po in the Kung Fu Panda TV series on Netflix as well, so he has more time in that world. His Bowser sounds so good. Also, I know it's just a little bit of it, but I love Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. That actually gets me.
I do too.
I'm so amped for this. But also, like, even before the trailer came out, we got this just gorgeous poster. And honestly, first ballot Hall of Famer when it comes to movie posters. This is, wow. I know some people are like, it's too busy. It's Mario. It's bright, vivid, and colorful, and you kind of immediately get a sense of what all the worlds are. There's fun Easter eggs. There's Toad. I don't need anything else.
What more do you want?
I don't need anything else because Toad is the best. My main for Double Dash is always Toad and Red Koopa. I don't know why, but that's my go-to.
Red Koopa, really?
Toad and Red Koopa in the little bullet car for Double Dash. I don't know why. Dude, that's my combo.
I miss the crap out of Double Dash. Oh, what a game.
You know, the one-off features that all Mario Kart have.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but like it was a cool, like the first
the
bit,
Pengies!
The whole Bowser bit was fantastic. I love the idea of like Bowser's castle is just something that flies around and then it like locks down in, and like it's more of a ship than it is an actual castle. Jack Black is gonna kill it. I love that. When he finally gets the star or whatever, it would have been very, very easy for his voice acting to slip into a poism with you know, who's gonna stop me? Like that's
Skadoosh.
I can exactly. I could totally see him slipping and going into that direction, but he definitely intentionally put some certain inflections on it to make it different than Poe. Now, I am in the minority here, and I understand that. I am not a fan of it, but I do not outright hate Chris Pratt's Mario voice. I think they're definitely leaning more towards the Brooklyn Mario style voice than they are the Italian, which is a part of me that's like, yeah, like I feel like a straight up Italian might be a little like cringy. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure, but they're definitely going more with a Brooklyn style, and if that's the case, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad.
There's a really good counter argument that I've heard to the Chris Pratt voice is in almost all the Mario games, Mario is a silent protagonist for about 90% of the game. You do not hear him speak for long stretches of time because honestly, do you really want to hear Mario's voice? It's the same argument for why I never want a full-fledged Yoda movie. It's like, yeah, his dialect is really cool in small doses, but I don't know if I'd want 2 hours of Yoda speak. I don't know if I want 2 hours of Mario speak, and maybe that's something that they took into consideration for this, because more often than not, Mario has a couple lines, but since you're playing as him, it's a lot of just, yahoo! It's just little noises here and there.
Exactly.
Just, like, grunts like any other video game character. The dialogue is saved for other people like Toad, like Luigi, who we get a little bit of Luigi. I have complete faith in Charlie Day because, It's Always Sunny in Mushroom Kingdom. That should be an episode right there because that just sounds too perfect.
Yeah,
and Danny DeVito can voice Wario.
Oh my gosh! If Wario and Waluigi don't appear in this movie, I'm gonna cry. That's my next. That's
Waluigi is the most underrated Mario character.
He really is. And to that credit of that point, you could say the same thing about Bowser. This is kind of the first time we're really hearing a lot of like Bowser dialogue. That's not like a really grovelly grunts. And I think part of this is a lot of people say kind of being mad and just I think it's all just Pratt hate. I get it. I understand why you would hate Pratt. I understand that. However, you also don't get to be like I hate Pratt, so that ipso facto means that his Mario voice is terrible. Not necessarily. So like as all things we do on this podcast, let's try to keep a critical eye on it, but like obviously understand that like we ourselves have biases on these certain situations. I think even with that, it's not a great voice, but it's not terrible. I'll take it. And to be fair, we really didn't hear all that much of it either. So I guess we'll see what happens when the actual full flip. Oh my gosh, we are bad today.
Full-fledged.
The full-fledged trailer comes out. Because we still need more Luigi. We need to see Peach. Peach is going to be interesting as well.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
I think I think we are not ready necessarily mentally as a fan base to see if like go down that list of characters. Like that argument can go for all of them. We haven't really heard these people actually talk, so it's going to be interesting to hear actual dialogue from them, from these actors. So I'm curious as to your thoughts, and because you and I have this kind of conversation all the time. I've seen a lot of people say that the guy that has always voiced Mario should have been the pick to voice him in this film. Now, I know you and I are very much of like the kind of people to be like in Solo, people were super upset that they didn't pick that really good Harrison Ford impersonator to be Solo. That doesn't necessarily mean
hindsight they should have.
Oh yeah, absolutely. How about hindsight's 2020? In this scenario,
can we just retire that phrase now? Because
no,
hindsight was 2020 and 2020 sucked.
But in this scenario, I as much as I love the dude and his story's amazing and that has such a dedication to this character, I don't know if I go with that either because, like you said, he's just made noises, kind of. So it might come off as kind of cringe or almost like, I don't want to say racist because that's not the term, but like it just feels weird to hear somebody act like they're Italian.
Again, Josh and I are always in favor of just use the voice actor. I'm not a big fan of celebrity voice castings unless it's something like the Lego Movie where Chris Pratt was playing a completely new character with Emmett, or Jack Black with Poe, or anybody from How to Train Your Dragon for Josh, because those are completely original stories. But if there's source materials, a la Sonic the Hedgehog 2, they got the actual voice actress that plays Tails to voice Tails, and that really, really worked. Voice actors need to be recognized as actual actors. So I'm of two minds of maybe bringing him back, but at the same time, we have not seen this movie yet. I want to give it the benefit of the doubt of, in the context of this movie, maybe the voice that they're going for fits better than what the game Mario is. Like, what's the broader context here? I will
Yeah.
say though, if you have flashbacks to Baby Mario, I'm gonna want that thing to die because Baby Mario is just the worst thing to exist in Mario canon. There was plenty of times that I was playing Yoshi's Island and I just let that sucker float away. I was tired
I
of
don't
that
even
crime.
care about my lives. Go
I
ahead and die.
I checked. So far, we don't have any confirmation of Yoshi or Princess Daisy casting. And y'all, for Heather's sake, you better have Yoshi in this movie or heads will roll because she is a hardcore Yoshi fan because, Yoshi is just the best. Or, don't
He
put Yoshi
is.
in this movie and make it a whole Yoshi's Island spin-off movie with an island of Yoshis and multicolored, and it's a prequel to this
I
movie.
actually,
And it's a prequel
oh
to
my
this
gosh.
movie. I solved
actually
it.
really like that idea. Hold on. Oh my gosh. And it's a prequel to set up the battle that will be Mario and Luigi against Wario and Waluigi. Like, come on. That's just, oh, that writes
And their
itself. There's
next
a
door
lot of
neighbors
fun-
are a whole bunch of monkeys, the Donkey
Oh my
Kongs.
goodness. There's so much in this world that is super exciting to kind of finally tap into story wise that I guess I'm not getting hung up on voices just maybe a little bit different from somebody who I feel is not that great of a person. But like, I'm excited for the film regardless.
Lastly, for our news, because it's a super, super dry news week this week, if we're talking about Five Nights at Freddy's willingly, Jason
Woo!
Blum, the poor man, the poor guy, every time he gets on any form of social media, hey, whoa, what are you going to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's? Guys, I'm here to promote the next and probably final Halloween movie. What are you going to update about Five Nights at Freddy's? Okay, I have news for y'all. We got the script approved, we have a director, and we're starting to film it soon. Yay! Can you leave me alone now? Please! Like, I'm still amazed at the Five Nights at Freddy's fandom. Let's be honest, like, what, 10 years past the initial hype? Because, was it 2012, 2013, 2014? Was those, like, the prime Markiplier era
Mhm.
Five Nights at Freddy's years? I feel like they've been trying to get a movie ever since then, but is it
Mhm.
Scott Cawthorn is the guy that created Five Nights at Freddy's and is like the J.K. Rowling of being uber possessive of the franchise and going, we're not making this movie until it's perfect. Well, they just added, the most perfect piece that you could add to this in Jim Henson's puppet production company is the one making the puppets for Five Nights at Freddy's and going, the script could be terrible. You could cast... Oh, I don't know. Amanda Seyfried. And I would still see this movie because you've got at least the dolls correctly. You got the animatronics correctly. The only problem is, at least to me, you took so long making this movie that something else has already come along and surpassed you in this called Willy's Wonderland. Willy's Wonderland is just a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I don't know if you could top Willy's Wonderland because you're not going to cast Nicolas Cage. I just know you, Blumhouse. You're not. And without Nicolas Cage, I don't know if I'm interested. I've never bought the hype with Five Nights at Freddy's. I remember sitting in some dudes' rooms in college and we would watch it, but like it was a communal experience. But other than that, I know there's deep history and lore and whatever else. I've just never got into it. They're all exactly the same. And now all the people are coming after me. What else is new? Josh, I don't know if we've talked about this. What are your thoughts on Five Nights at Freddy's? The game, the movie, everything.
I mean, Five Nights at Freddy's is like iconic video game horror. I don't know if video game horror would really be how do I say this? It's a staple and changed the game in a lot of ways. Horror video games are bigger than they ever have been. They're better than they ever have been these days. Five Nights at Freddy's definitely started a lot of people's love and being like, oh, you can like elicit other emotions, like stuff like Dead Space, stuff like oh geez, I just had like a whole list in my head, but like just go look at Markiplier's like catalog. It's fine.
Mortuary Assistant.
Yeah, Mortuary Assistant. There's the Dark Amnesia, the
Outlast.
Dark Descent. Like there's Slenderman, the Revival. Like there's so many really, really, really good, actually legitimately scary games out there that I don't think would exist without Five Nights at Freddy kind of creating that buzz and creating that love. That being said, it's not a game for me. It's not something I've particularly enjoyed. I've enjoyed the most recent one more than I did this one. What is it? Freddie Fazbear's or whatever. It's like the new one that Mark and Jack have played, and it's pretty cool. It's a much bigger world. There's more going on, more puzzles. It seems more like a game I would play that's not just scares for the scare's sake. So it'll be interesting to see what direction they go with here. To me, you either go old school and go put like somebody in a chair in a room with and he's just has to stay alive every night. I don't know what kind of story you build from there. Is the problem. Unlike something like what the new game has to offer, which is there is a story, there is a direction that we need to go. There is obviously like there's a mystery to unravel if you get into all of the lore behind the Five Nights at Freddy's, but like at the same time, you have to be very careful as to how you put the story out there, because otherwise you're just creating like a boring experience, and that's not what you really want. I think my pitch is still go ahead with the original, or if you're not, go with what the new game is, where it's literally like a giant like Dave and Buster's level of Chuck E. Cheese, like huge. Make the security guard, I don't know, have him be played by the guy that does Polka Dot Man, David Duchovny or something. Yeah, make it, because like that to me, he's like the perfect like, all right, I'm a reluctant hero in this story for some reason because I have a job that I hate, but I've got to get paid.
So not Jay Baruchel.
Correct.
I would not hate Jay.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's a lot of ways that you can make this work. Honestly, I want to say what would be really interesting, but it makes Jim Henson's Creature Shop feel like a waste, is to make it a found footage style film.
I was literally just about to ask, would you want this to be a found footage or not?
I think A, to separate itself from Willy's Wonderland, B, to make it feel something closer to the games. I think you almost have to do a found footage, but at the same time, that feels like having somewhat like as big of a name like Jim Henson's Creature Shop to come in and do all the costumes and the puppets and stuff. It feels like a waste if you're gonna slap it on a found footage style film. Now maybe I'm wrong in that, but like to me, you either go big or you go small. Like you can't. There's no way to go somewhere.
It's Blumhouse. I won't go super big.
Correct.
As per usual, this week's episode is sponsored by TeePublic, your one-stop shop for all things Uncharted Media merch, whether it's t-shirts, stickers, magnets, notepads, whatever you want with the Uncharted Media logo or other fantastic designs. And also, if you haven't already, subscribe to us on YouTube. We're only 8 subscribers away from 700. Help us get to 700 before the 200. I think that would be a cool thing to try and get done. Fun. Get the 700th before the 200th, as we've got the 200th episode of the Uncharted Media Podcast coming around the corner, as you can tell by episode 197 that this is. And if you haven't already, subscribe to us on whatever audio platform you're listening to us on, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or YouTube. Once again, if you haven't shared us with other movie fans that you might think would like the show, do that. Help us get to 700 in, a few weeks. We can get there together. Now, enough of the commercials. Let's talk about Halloween one more time. Probably for at least another 5-10 years. We'll get more Halloweens, but it'll probably be a while, I would imagine, depending on...
I'd hope so.
Depending on how well Ends does. Because if Ends does well, We'll probably get more. If it does not do well, we'll get more just much, much later, like a 10 years versus a 5 years type of situation. Remake Halloween 3. Gosh dang it. I don't care that it's the one with no Michael Myers. I want to see snakes coming out of a dead child's mouth.
Horror fans are terrible people. Let's just
well, let's be clear. The child was not dead when the snake was coming out of his mouth. Yeah, he was still twitching.
Oh, yeah, you know what? That makes it so much better.
He was still twitching. It's fine.
I just want a remake of Resurrection. I feel like that could be a lot.
What's Busta Rhymes doing nowadays? He's not Ja Rule.
Oh man, yeah. Let's dive in because there's so many like really. It's so interesting that like Halloween is one of those franchises that like even just between you and me, like I love the original, but my favorite is definitely Resurrections, but for different reasons than I love.
So weird.
It is so weird, I know, because it's also like the one that has like the least to do with everything, the entire canon. But you know, it is what it is. I like the new ones as well, but I think depending on the timeline you're going for, there was a review I was listening to like earlier yesterday that was like Halloween is the choose your own adventure of the Halloween
really is
of the horror genre, because you have to start at 1 obviously, but then you know, hey, you could jump straight to Resurrections, or hey, you could go to 2, 3, 4, and what is it? Yeah, this is like those 4. I think. Yeah.
Let's get into it. As Josh said, no matter what you're watching, no matter what timeline you're talking about, you've got to start with the original 1978 classic John Carpenter's Halloween, if we're being really specific about it. You know, it's the one that's on the wall here. That's in every single episode, whether you realize it or not, that this is what the poster is behind me here. We'll almost always have my Michael behind me. Halloween means a great deal to me, and I'm sure to Josh as well. But it's funny. So the first one, you get Michael Myers, who kills his sister when he's 6 years old. For 15 years, he's locked away with Dr. Loomis trying to help rehabilitate him for the first 7 years that he's there, and then the next 8 he spends trying to keep him locked up because he knows what's behind that boy's eyes is purely and simply evil. Because he spent years looking at the wall, looking past the wall, looking through the wall, dreaming about this one night. Oh, God, I love the original movie so much. But so Michael escapes due to really crappy security and a storyline that actually somehow gets brought up again in Halloween 6 of Michael steals a car, and even though he's mentally a 6-year-old, knows how to drive perfectly. But that actually is attempted to be remedied in part 6, but we'll get there.
I don't think to be clear, in my opinion, it is not remedied.
No.
But okay, yeah.
Part
go for
6 has many issues, but it's weird that the one thing that they're just like, you know what is a plot thread that we need to figure out? How did Michael drive? Even Dr. Loomis calls attention to it. She's like, maybe someone around here has been giving him lessons. Which, Loomis, why are you parked in the handicap zone? You don't use a cane until part 5. Come on now. I don't care that there's no other cars around. You don't do that. You don't park in the handicap zone. What's it? The line from A-Team. You can't park there. That's a handicap zone.
Oh man, yeah. Like if it's, you know, you've never lied to the government to be able to park in a handicap spot. Come on, man.
So Michael escapes, goes back to his home town of Haddonfield, Illinois, which is a completely made up town, at least in the Illinois sense. Haddonfield is a real town in New Jersey. But he goes to Haddonfield, Illinois, which is the most California-looking Illinois you'll ever see.
Yeah.
It just kind of is chilling in his house, eating dogs and whatnot until he sees...
Apparently. That's just okay, I guess.
I don't know why that's in there, but he sees the realtor's daughter, Laurie Strode. He's just like... doesn't speak. He's just... I don't know. He kind of breathes. He just breathes and decides to follow her and a kid she's babysitting. That's what he does. He just is like,
no. I just had this mental picture of like them panning to him and he's breathing or whatever, and like we expect nothing, and then Chris Pratt's Mario comes, Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
So Michael follows Laurie Strode and the kid that she's babysitting, Tommy Doyle, who, again, we'll keep referencing part 6. Tommy Doyle will come back into play later. But Michael starts picking off Laurie's friends one by one until she eventually has one big encounter with him. She survives by stabbing him in the eye with a coat hanger, and then, falling down this. No. Does she fall down the stairs before or after? No, she falls down the stairs before.
Yeah. Stuff happens.
Because she stabs him with the eye, she sits up, they fight at the top of the staircase, and then Loomis shoots him 6 times. How many times? I shot him 6 times! And then he shoots him off the balcony. Loomis goes to check the body, and there is no body. Thus concludes Halloween, the original horror masterpiece, and then Michael's not there. Now, after the first Halloween, we already have a split in the timeline of going, well, we're already branching off. Let's go into Halloween 2, but put a pin in the original Halloween for now. We'll come back to that later. Halloween 2. 1981's Halloween 2 takes place mere minutes after the original Halloween, with Jamie Lee Curtis coming back as Laurie. Ben Tramer, who was mentioned very, very briefly in the original Halloween as a love interest for Laurie, is in it very, very briefly, but he had a hot date somewhere else and goes out in a blaze of glory, literally getting run over by a cop and exploded, which I'm just going.
I love that for him.
Because some reason Ben Tramer has a pitch perfect a Michael Myers costume, even though this is Michael's first night killing people. And again, this cop didn't know that he was looking for Michael, so he just more or less completely ran over a kid. But Laurie's in the hospital.
In other news, cops kill people on accident.
And they blow up.
Apparently.
And they're like, oh crap, it's the wrong kid. Which, how did they get Michael Myers' dental records? I've always kind of been curious about that.
Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to.
So Laurie goes to the hospital. Loomis is still looking for Michael because Michael's on the loose. And here's where we said it's a branch in the timeline, because Halloween 2 has a reveal that kind of defined the franchise for about 80% of this entire series' run. I'll be honest, Josh, I missed this detail the first time we were watching this, whether I completely zoned out during the one critical scene or I just was not paying attention. But it is revealed by one of the nurses from the original Halloween, shows up to Loomis and goes, Laurie Strode, the girl that Michael's chasing, that's actually Laurie Myers, Michael Myers' baby sister. And everyone's going, oh, hi, motive. Why did you have to leave us? Michael didn't have a motive before, making him terrifying. Now he just kills family members. Oh. I don't hate it as much as some other people, but it's definitely controversial in the Halloween bubble of, you like when they're connected or not?
Yeah. And like I don't hate it, but I don't like it either, because like it's kind of like in the whole Jason stuff. Like, I love the first one, but I hate that it's revealed that he's still alive this whole time. So like I don't hate that they become that, it's because they're brother and sister, but it's at the same time of like, okay, cool. So then he's just been targeting Laurie for no reason, because there's no way that he would know that she's his baby sister. Okay, whatever, man. I don't know. And then again, later on, we get more of an explanation as to why. But it's like
that dreaded part 6
doesn't make sense.
That dreaded part 6, man. So yeah, Michael is stalking Laurie, and honestly, for me, it's a 3-way tie as to what my favorite Halloween sequel is, 2, 4, or H2O, because they're all so drastically different. I really like what 2's doing, because it's much more of a cat and mouse game of, for some reason, the hospital doesn't have power, so all the hallways are dark, and for some reason, Halloween, I'd imagine one of the busiest nights of the year, has no one in the hospital, and all the doctors are drunk doing something else. Really?
Yeah.
But Laurie hiding from Michael.
Small town Illinois.
Laurie hiding from Michael with a very, very obvious wig. But here's one of the big defining moments. They fill up a room with anesthesia or anesthetic or some form of like gas. They fill up with gas, and Loomis sets a lighter on fire, turns a lighter on that he stole from one of the cops when Ben Tramer blew up. He stole the lighter from one of the cops.
Which is like such an odd thing to take from the scene of a crash. Like, okay, dude.
He asked one of the other cops, he's like, "You got a light?" "Yeah, sure." For some reason, the cop hands him the lighter instead of just lighting it for him. Takes the lighter, just slips it in his pocket. That's a detail I didn't notice till like my 4th or 5th time watching it. So they blow up.
That's like a common thing that the smokers do to each other, actually. So
It's just
there's
steel
that.
lighters.
Yeah, exactly.
And-
That's why it's customary to light it for them, because otherwise you don't know, they might just take your lighter and forget about it. And
Oh, so
it's
like,
just
oh, hey man, can I borrow your pocket knife?
yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden it never comes back. Anyway,
Remember, kids, that trend of, hey, can I borrow your pen? That extends to adulthood, basically. So
yes.
yeah, Dr. Loomis and Michael Myers both explode in a blaze of glory, temporarily. But then Laurie thinks she's finally killed Michael Myers. He comes walking out of the fire in a honestly really impressive fire stunt. Like, that's a long shot of Michael coming out of the fire.
It is.
Even though
Yeah,
he's
it's
blatantly
scary.
wearing a fire suit. You're like, oh, Michael survived. And then he immediately face plants and dies. And then Mr. Sandman plays. And everyone's happily ever after with Jimmy. Bring back Jimmy! Halloween ends. Come on, recanonize Jimmy. Gosh dang it. She said she's been married twice. Ben Tramer and Jimmy. Make it happen. Officially canonize that, please. It's all I want. But then...
It's all I want from this series outside of it to make sense.
that's too much of an ask. So we fast forward 7 years to 1988 to Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Why do we skip 3? We'll come back to that. That's its own timeline. But we're continuing on with this Laurie Strode thing. Too bad. Laurie Strode is dead. Sucks to suck. We'll delve more into that again in H2O, which is not part of this timeline for the sake of this argument. We get to Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, and Michael Myers is somehow alive. He's just been in a coma for 10 years. And also, Loomis is alive and has butt face because he openly says in the movie, whether this is intended as a joke or not, he has skin grafts, to which I'm just going, you probably have a butt face.
You do.
It's either the
That's where you
4th or the
pull
5th one
the
that he's
skin
got
from.
really bad, like, makeup on his face that looks like scrambled egg, and he openly said so in the movie that he's just like, it looks bad.
I hate that.
But so Michael is back and alive because he finds out Laurie Strode had a daughter off screen because Jamie Lee Curtis didn't want to come back and they had to keep the family connection somehow. So they bring Danielle Harris's Jamie Lloyd, who's been adopted by a separate family, looked after by her babysitter / foster sister, Rachel, who kind of is the Laurie surrogate character for Halloween 4. And honestly, I really like this one. For the most part, some of the teenagers are kind of annoying, but that's a staple of Halloween. Am I missing anything Halloween 4-wise, Josh?
Nah, dude. No, it's all you, man. I very, very vaguely remember Halloween 4.
Josh
I
can
remember,
take
like,
Resurrection.
Yeah, I got you on Resurrection, dog.
I just think that's so weird that Resurrection is Josh's go-to Halloween. So, Jamie's running from Michael. They eventually, I'll be honest, in terms of all the ways that quote-unquote Michael has died, this is the lamest. Michael just gets basically murdered by a bunch of rednecks. He just gets shotgunned to death and falls down a well.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. If y'all got mad at the angry mob and Halloween Kills, I'm just like, there was an angry mob in Halloween 4. There is precedent for this in the Halloween franchise. It's not unheard of. They killed a kid in Halloween 4 and then kind of completely glossed over the fact. They're just like, that wasn't Michael. That was Ted Forrester's kid. Oh. Moving on. Like, it's that gif from, what's the car one? It's like, oh. Anyway, like, that's exactly how they treat it. He shot a kid. Okay, fine, let's move on.
Yeah, it's kind of like when when later down the road when they think they kill Michael by running him into a tree with a car, and then they're like, "Oh wait, it was somebody else the whole time." Whoa! And then they just don't acknowledge the impact that that death would have.
Yeah, yeah. So, the end of Halloween 4, Michael is supposedly dead. But then we get a point of view, just like the original Halloween, of someone holding a knife, a small person holding a knife, except this time it's scissors, and it's Jamie Lloyd murdering her foster mom, standing at the top of the stairs with bloody scissors, looking like exactly like 6-year-old Michael. Are you curious where that storyline goes? Too bad. Sucks for you, because it completely gets forgotten about and retconned away for Halloween 5 from 1989, Revenge of Michael Myers, which for some reason just completely retcons that away, whether it was a dream, a psychotic episode, no one really knows, because the Weinsteins didn't want, it wasn't Weinsteins yet, I don't think, it was the Akkads. Mustafa Akkad did not want child murderer to be Halloween 5, which I'm just like, but Michael.
But that's like been the crux of the whole series. What are you talking about?
But it gets better, Josh. It gets better. Instead of Jamie, instead of Jamie being the murderer for Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, she somehow has become mute for reasons. Not explained reasons, just reasons.
Just reason.
And
it's really funny, like that we're sitting here going, we love this series so much, and now we're sitting here absolutely tearing massive plot holes in
it's
it.
Because 5 and 6 suck balls. I hate 5 and 6 so much. They literally have 2 cops that make clown shoe noises when they walk. I hate it so much. But Jamie, for some reason, is mute and has a psychic connection with Michael Myers. Also, we really hope you don't like the Rachel character from part 4, the really cool babysitter that was very much like Laurie Strode in the original. Yeah, she dies in the first, 20 minutes with scissors getting shoved down her throat. I'm going, it's a bit excessive. And also, you turned a character that was not sexualized at all in the 4th one and just made her eye candy in the 5th one for the few minutes that she was on screen. Not a huge fan of that either. That stuff happens in... Stuff happens in 5, and we're introduced to the franchise's worst character. I don't care about Busta Rhymes on your list of worst Halloween characters. Tina in part 5 is the single worst character in any of the Halloween movies.
Okay.
Oh my god, Tina is annoying. No, I know some people.
Excuse me, Busta Rhymes is top 10 best characters of the Halloween
not
series.
Even close. But some people really hate Busta Rhymes, and some people really hate the characters in Resurrection, which I get. You've got Lucky the Irish Kid. But Tina is the worst. Shut up, Tina. I'm glad you got stabbed. And also, Michael drives a car in the woods. It's weird and stupid. But eventually, Dr. Loomis, almost kills Jamie in an attempt to use her as bait to get Michael Myers, because Loomis has gone off the cuckoo train in this one. And it supposedly had a heart attack at the end of 5 because they didn't know whether or not they get Donald Pleasance back. So he has a heart attack at the end of 5 because reasons. And then Michael gets arrested. But don't worry, Michael has a special prison buddy. Wait, I'm gonna rework that. He has a special prison buddy that was introduced earlier.
That's staying in.
Michael Myers has a special prison buddy that was introduced earlier in the movie that doesn't even have a name, called the Man in Black. And all Halloween fans sigh collectively because we know where this is going. So the people that made Halloween 5 were like, we need a hook for Halloween 6. While they're writing 5, they were Sony Amazing Spider-Man 2ing this, of thinking way too far ahead. And they're going, we need a mystery for part 6. We introduced this character called the Man in Black. Who is it? That's for the people that made part 6 to figure out. Great idea. Let's do that. So the people that made part 5 have no idea who the Man in Black is, but the Man in Black breaks Michael out of prison and kills all the cops that were in 5 that were actually, as far as the franchise goes, some of the better cops. I actually really like the cops that are in 4 and 5. They're good people. Then the Man in Black breaks Michael out of prison, and that's how the movie ends. Which leads us to Halloween 6. Oh, sweet baby Paul Rudd. What did you do here? This is a big turning point for the franchise because, oh boy. There's two different versions of this movie. Let's just put it that way. There's the producer's cut and there's the theatrical cut, and they're drastically different and both suck, but suck for different reasons. So the premise of Halloween 6 is we flash forward in time to a teenage / young adult, Jamie Lloyd, who is probably 18 to 20 at the time, but not played by Danielle Harris, in a huge legal battle of the studio didn't want to bring her back because she wasn't she was 17 and would be turning 18. They didn't want to treat her as an adult, whatever, something. So she paid a whole bunch of lawyers to get her emancipated from her parents, so that way she could be treated as an adult on set. Once all the paperwork goes through, they go, yeah, we don't want to pay you more. So, thanks, bye. We're getting some other actress because we're going to kill you really quickly. Yeah, Jamie, the one that you've been emotionally invested in for the past 2 movies, gets killed off. Depending on which cut you're watching, either it gets impaled by farming equipment, or that mortally injures her, and Michael stabs her. No, the man in black snuffs her out with a pillow in the hospital while she's recovering. Either way, sucky, and how dare you get emotionally invested in Jamie. But the thing is, there's always gotta be a Strode somehow. So Jamie was pregnant and now has a small baby, and it's not outright stated in the movie, but it's implied in certain versions that the baby might have been Michael's. And I'm going, I don't like what this franchise has become. I still like this franchise, but this is the one we don't think about.
I think it's because the implications of what that would entail is so weird, of what, like, where we are. Like, he's not like a sexual predator, so it's like, why would he? That would mean that he was able to find love. Oh, but then that would mean that that'd be consensual. Oh, I don't like where this is going. This is weird.
So apparently the reason why Michael has offspring and why he kills all of his family members is because I don't get paid enough for this.
I believe you don't get paid.
Exactly. Like I don't get excited lamenting about how bad the franchise got and the highs and lows of the Halloween franchise. Michael apparently kills everyone in his family because he is a member of the Cult of Thorn, a evil demonic cult that basically worships and follows the ritual of Samhain, or Samhain if you're Donald Pleasance and don't know how to properly pronounce the word, which actually, Samhain was first teased in Halloween 2, like the 1981 one, when it was written on a blackboard in a school that they visit real quick. Going, really? You set the stage that soon? They don't think they meant for it to pay off that much. Here's the thing with Halloween 6. There's a lot of loose plot threads from 5 and previous movies that had to be put together. And Daniel Farrens, the writer of the movie, was a huge fan of the Halloween franchise. So he was really trying to tie everything together as best as he could. It's just that other movies did not set him up for success, which is why things like The Man in Black being revealed to be Dr. Wynn, who was the doctor and the head of Smith's Grove Sanitarium, where Michael was kept as a child, on paper is an interesting idea. And it's probably revealed that he's the one that taught Michael to drive in the original movie. I'm going, you tried. Bart Simpson with the cake. At least you tried. Like, Daniel Farrens, script sucks, the movie sucks, but I applaud his effort for trying to tie in 1, 4, 5, 6, even elements of 3 with like the overly witchcraft and culty nature of stuff. Just does not work. So Michael is a part of the Curse of Thorn, who basically have to kill members of their family in order for like the world to have a good harvest or something like that. I don't remember what it is. They're like eternally cursed and they can't die or whatever. But also, this movie introduced the world to Paul Stephen Rudd. Before he was on Friends, before he was in Clueless, he was in Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, which the name Curse of Michael Myers was a joke. Someone said the production had so much of a problem that they should call it The Curse of Michael Myers. And they're like, hey, let's do it. We don't care. We'll call it that. That's a great idea. Which people call it the Pink Panther trilogy because the 3 Pink Panther movies are The Return, The Revenge, and The Curse. And I'm going, No,
Oh, that's hilarious.
Michael's gonna stalk somebody. Dum dum
Da-da,
dum dum
da-da,
dum
da-da, da-da,
dum. I would pay good money
da-da.
for that. An evil Pink Panther.
And like there's I don't know why this is what's stuck in my head. But like the end of I think the first Pink Panther, he's like trying to say books in his terrible French accent, and like it sounds like he's saying boobs. It just like I've just but the idea of like Michael Myers being unable to say the word books is hilarious to me and should not ever be a thing, but it kind of needed to be a thing.
So Michael has this curse. Okay. Here's the weird thing. 6 is one of my least favorite movies in the entire franchise, but it has the best looking Michael. The mask is perfect. The physique of the guy playing him is perfect. The mannerisms are great. It's just not a good movie. It's like the exact opposite of H2O, which is a great movie with a terrible Michael. It's a weird dichotomy there. But we'll roast the H2O man when we get there, because do I have things to say about Chris Durand. But so like I said, there was a theatrical cut and a producer's cut of Halloween, which drastically changes the ending. I believe the theatrical version, I get them mixed up. I think the theatrical version, Paul Stephen Rudd, Ant-Man himself, he doesn't go into Michael Myers' butt. He basically surrounds Michael with mystic rummy cube blocks or like backgammon squares, and Michael can't move
ruins.
because they're like they have magic. Or the other version is Paul Rudd stabs Michael in the neck with Ninja Turtles ooze and then bludgeons him with a pipe. Either way, it's stupid. Unfortunately, this would be the last Halloween movie that Donald Pleasance would be in, which caused a bit of issues when they're reshooting stuff. There's several scenes where it's not Donald Pleasance. But we had to say farewell to Dr. Loomis, but they would use him in other movies, but we'll talk about that later. That ends the Jamie Lloyd timeline, so it's a mixed bag to say the least. But let's rewind back to Halloween 2. From there, Halloween 1, Halloween 2. Fast forward 20 years in the timeline, and give or take around that time in real life to 1998's Halloween H2O is I guess what it is. H20, 20 Halloween 20 years later. It's got a stupid name, but God, do I love this movie. It's the shortest Halloween movie too. It's only like an hour and a half. So we find out that Laurie Strode faked her death.
You mean to tell me that Resurrections has a longer run time?
I think so. I think it does. Which now I'll talk about that when we get to Resurrections. But H2O, we find out that Laurie actually faked her death and is alive and well, going by the name of Carrie Tate, and lives in California, because they filmed the first movie in California, so let's just set the movie in California. Michael, I don't think they ever said how he escaped. He just escapes, kills the nurse from the original movie. He kills Joseph Gordon-Levitt by putting an ice skate in his face, to which we all go,
love it.
Ha! Third rock from the Levitt. Okay. And I think the kid's name is Jason too.
Not your best joke, my dude.
No. Third rock from the pumpkin? I don't know. But yeah, I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character's name is Jason, and he wears a hockey mask, which is kind of really, really fun. It's weird. This opening kill scene uses the exact outfit from Halloween 6, but that outfit was not going to stay. Halloween H2O has a bunch of different masks, and it's kind of weird. So Michael, because Josh will know, he more or less just kind of steals the car from Jeepers Creepers and road trips to California. Like, look, it's the exact same car from Jeepers Creepers.
The only other explanation is that he just walks, and then when he gets to California, steals someone's car. I don't understand. It's so weird. Maybe that's why. Oh no, I was gonna say maybe that's why we haven't had a Jeepers Creepers movie in a while, but one just came out, so there's that.
No, we didn't. We haven't had a Jeepers Creepers movie in a while.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, he basically steals that van, that creepy van, and just drives it to California to go find Lori or Carrie, whatever.
So, yeah, she is the headmistress of a private school, like a super, super preppy school. Now, this movie was written by Kevin Williamson, who wrote Scream. Not that you could tell at all from this script or anything. It doesn't feel like a 90s slasher movie, for better or for worse. There's some jokes that really work. Others, like the principal, or whatever position he is, saying he's going to get his nipples pierced, I'm going, gross. Didn't need that visual there, Adam Arkin. Thank you for that. But also, I think H2O has like the lowest body count for any horror for any of the Halloween movies. There's not a lot of people that die, primarily because there's not a lot of people. Also, this has LL Cool J because they realized, oh yeah, we haven't really had a lot of minorities in Halloween yet, and that he was very much just a marketing ploy. That being said, he puts in a really good performance considering he's just there for marketing purposes. And he survives the whole thing. Spoiler alert. Even though he gets shot in the face. I don't know how he survives.
How? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because
like,
the thing is, they try and do this like fake out where like Lori shoots somebody. She thinks it's Michael. But if you slow it down frame by frame, the person coming around the corner is actually LL Cool J. It's not Michael. So you're like, that's not how that works. But you have the first time Lori has actual kids, well, I mean, besides Jamie, with Josh Hartnett in his first ever movie. Supposedly he was a douche backstage in terms of like not wanting to work with wardrobe, and so like you'd always mess up his hair or whatever. I'm going, ugh, you bratty teens. And then you should have what's her face? Greatest Showman. Oh,
Zendaya?
No. It's like not Michelle Monaghan. Somebody. But so Michael,
way too funny.
Michael comes to the school while everyone's away on camping to Yosemite, which is a weird thing. But instead of running away, this time Lori traps herself with Michael on the school campus. And honestly, one of my favorite moments in the entire franchise. She yells at her kid and his girlfriend, "Do as I say," and gets out of town just like she said to Tommy. Oh yeah, Tommy was in part 6, whatever. Same kid, but not. She yells at her kids just the exact same way she did in the original. Closes the gate behind her, so she's trapped in here with Michael. Breaks the glass, gets one of those big old like fireman axes. Michael! I'm like, oh. As much as I like Halloween 2018, still hasn't been able to top that moment in terms of, oh, you go get her. So here's where we start running into some issues. The finale's great, but boy, does this Michael Myers suck. First of all, there's like 3 or 4 different masks in this movie, and all of them show his eyes. And, you know, according to Dr. Loomis, he has the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. So we shouldn't see his eyes and like the skin around his eyeballs. It does not work. Also, we have a CGI mask at one point. And having now seen it in glorious 4K resolution, oh, it is so much worse in high def.
Yeah, no, yeah. None of the masks really work for this at all. And isn't this the one where the guy playing him does some like wacky things as far as like how he's acting as Michael?
Oh, I'm so glad you brought this up, Josh. So, Chris Durand played Michael Myers in H2O. He had not seen any other Halloween movies and didn't feel he needed to see any other movies for reference. He wanted to do his own thing. Instead, he watched videos of cats stalking their prey, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, so when cats stalk their prey, they purr and they growl. So whenever I would chase Jamie Lee, I would growl and I would purr under my breath, so you could hear it through the mask." And I'm going, "What the heck? Why? That's the weirdest choice for you to make as an actor." Be like, do 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 do. Like, why why is that a choice you thought was a good one? I don't need Michael Myers to purr and meow like a cat. He's not. There's other types of hunters out there.
It's like, why cats of all things? Like, why not like an actual like a cougar or like a lion or something, or even something that hunts at night, or like a bobcat or a lynx? Like, why pick like a house cat? Like they're so harmless.
See, okay, I have issue with that, but there's something else I have a much bigger issue with, because you can't hear the purrs and the growls in the movie. This other boneheaded mistake you absolutely can see in the movie. So, Michael Myers is famous for doing the sit-up. If you haven't seen it before, picture the Undertaker. Like, they're lying on their back, they sit up like a crunch with their legs still out straight. You know, now to think about it, Undertaker probably just stole it from Michael Myers, because, you know, Myers debuted almost 15 years before Undertaker.
Yeah. It's creepy nonetheless.
So, you're lying on your back and you sit up, but that implies that you're lying on your back. So there's one point in H2O where Michael tries to go after Laurie, and he dives headfirst and he misses, and Laurie runs out of the way. So, he's lying on his stomach. He is lying the wrong way, but the scene requires him to sit up Undertaker style on his back. So what does this numbskull do? And it's on camera in the movie. He scooches his butt backwards like an inchworm so he can flip himself over to do the sit-up properly. I'm like, did no one catch this? Did no one catch that? We should have done a whole side tangent of goofs that are still in Halloween movies, because we completely didn't talk about the pink mask. We didn't talk about the pink mask in part 4. Do you know about that, Josh?
I do. I am aware of it, but I think I've seen part 4 like once, because I had no desire to watch anything after that.
So it's only in like 2 quick shots in the movie, and apparently the story goes that they're filming at like 3 a.m. in the morning. So part 4, way back in '88, there's a scene in a school, and it was so late at night that they didn't have the right Michael Myers mask for some reason, and so the company that made the masks made the wrong one. So it's like pink-skinned Michael Myers that's blonde, but it was the only mask that they had. So you, in 2 shots, if you slow it down, you can see Captain Kirk with a sunburn, basically, like yeeting Dr. Loomis out a window. I'm going, this is why we have dailies, people, so you can catch this. But yeah, bad Chris Durant sit-up. Then they fight in the foyer. He does a Jeff Hardy and basically falls off a tall thing. Then he gets impaled like Olaf. And then you think he's dead and the hospital's wheeling him away. But unlike other horror movies, Laurie's like, nah. He gonna come back. So she hijacks the ambulance, crashes it, and somehow, I don't know how, she's totally fine, but she lodges Michael between a rock and a hard place, aka a tree branch and the car she just flipped over, and then chops his mother effing head off with that axe from earlier. And it is so cool, except they had to steal the music at the end, the musical cue, from the Halloween soundtrack, like the actual like tape that they could find, because they didn't have access to the actual music.
Oh man,
that sounds right, doesn't it?
That's so freaking, that's so Hollywood. I can't even. That it makes me sad. I think the worst part about that is it's not Resurrections, is it?
What?
It's the next in the very next Halloween movie. They're like, yes, but guess what? That wasn't Michael. He switched spots.
No. The next one is Resurrection. With that.
Okay.
So Josh, you finally have the floor.
No, you have something to talk about. All
Your
right.
time is up. Your time is now. You can't see him. His time is now.
Oh man. So if I remember right, then they reveal basically in the beginning of the film of Resurrections that Michael had switched spots with one of the medical, it's like either one of the medical staffs or one of the drivers, and so that the person that Laurie killed at the end of H2O was in fact not Michael.
And
Which,
Michael apparently crushed the throat of the guy so they
yeah,
couldn't scream out or say anything, which is why they didn't speak
exactly. But
before Laurie
because
chopped their
you
head off.
can't wave your arms around like, oh wait, no, stop,
Which,
don't do this.
to be fair, the Michael does flail his arms around and looks very confused, but also has super, super evil eyes before she does the chopping, so
Yeah, it's whatever. It's the laziest like excuse to have another scary movie, but at the same time gives us Halloween Resurrection. I'm going to be straight with you. I don't remember any of the names of any of the
they have
characters
names?
because that's
I just know them by the actors.
Yeah, because Tyra and Busta Rhymes are here to do a reality TV show of a bunch of teens surviving in a quote unquote haunted house. It's so stupid, but it's so funny. Busta Rhymes is a kung fu loving horror movie junkie. He like is to the point of like at one point the main character passes his hotel room and he is like watching kung fu movies and pretending he's in it. It's hilarious. I'm rushing over a lot of this, but like basically the goal of the movie is these teenagers have to stay in this house as long as possible, and it's Michael's house. Of course, to all them, Michael's long dead. There's no reason he would actually still be there, but legend has it that this is his house, and he, still stalks this land. And so there's
some
all
of it's
these, like,
faked by the people that are doing the reality show.
Yeah. By the reality show, it comes kind of to fruition to the players of the game that there are large parts of the house that have in fact been rigged with like fake traps and like stuff that's not actually going to hurt anybody, but just fake things that will make the show interesting. Enter actual Michael, who has been living under the floor of his house for some reason.
His diet from dogs to rats.
And so in which he goes on a killing spree throughout the house, actually killing a lot of these teens. Leading to possibly the best line, in my opinion, in the entire Halloween series, said by Busta Rhymes, one of the few men to face Michael down and live the tale, as he gives him a giant roundhouse kick to the face. Happy Halloween, mother effer.
You didn't even say it right.
What? What are you talking about?
It's trick or treat.
Oh, that works.
It's trick or treat, mother effer, not Happy Halloween. Jamie Lee Curtis says that in Halloween Ends. We clearly get that from the trailer. She says Happy Halloween, mother effer. No, it's trick or treat.
Right.
You said it's your favorite one. You can't even remember the iconic line.
I also haven't seen it in quite a couple of years. You know what? Maybe that's what I need to do this month is actually do a rewatch of it and post a review, because I just have a vivid memory of absolutely having so much fun. Like, it is clearly
someone dies by a tripod.
Yeah, like Tyra, like everything about this film is like hardcore, like 90s summer slasher. It is not meant to be taken seriously. It is like stupid fun.
It is also
it's just like so starkly different from everything else in the Halloween franchise that like I don't know, it's everything I love about 90s slashers.
The weird thing is it shouldn't have been all that different from things in the Halloween franchise, because Halloween Resurrection was directed by Rick Rosenthal, who did Halloween 2 way back in 1981.
Yeah.
Was handpicked by John Carpenter to do Halloween 2. So I don't know. Also, in grand fashion of Halloween discovering actors, Halloween discovered Jamie Lee Curtis, Halloween 6 discovered Paul Stephen Rudd, Halloween Resurrection discovered Bo-Katan in Katie Sackhoff. It was Katie Sackhoff's first movie. Now she's in Mandalorian, Battlestar Galactica, and they also had that kid from The Luck of the Irish and Smart House. He's in this. And they're using like cell phones to talk to people because the whole thing's being live streamed. It's super, super weird.
It's so like the technology is so dated. It like to watch it now is, I think, only adds to the hilarity, because it's like, dog, that's not that.
We also forgot. Josh always forgets one huge critical thing about Resurrection because he wants to block it out of his mind like the rest of us do. The reason Resurrections is important is it definitively killed Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie character.
Oh my gosh, yes.
See,
Because he goes back to the hospital.
Josh mentally blocks it
my
out whenever he thinks about resurrection.
because it's terrible and it's so out of place in the entirety of the film. He goes and like in the beginning of the movie and has a final confrontation with Lori in which she's like, "Oh wait, maybe that's my actual little brother in there and I should try to help him from falling off a building." And then he tricks her and pulls her off and she dies
Stabs her in
falling.
the
It's
back and lets her fall in some bushes.
like
She goes out like a
what?
pansy.
Like, what is this? This is stupid. Okay.
I'm not opposed to Lori dying, but kill her off in a good way, not stabby stab, fall into some bushes as you're escaping your mental hospital.
After all this time, with everything that Michael and I have been through.
She kisses him.
Yeah. And it's like, maybe my little brother's still in there. Dog, you have never thought that your little brother was in there. Were you just trying to get rid of Lori for no reason?
Because Jamie Lee Curtis
but then like the rest
did not
of the
want to be in this movie.
Yeah, no, you can tell that
she legally had to be in it, and that was the only reason she was in the movie at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, Resurrection killed the Halloween franchise for a very long time. But we'll talk about that later. So fast forward, now rewind all the way back. I believe it was 1983 or 1984 to Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. There's only one movie in this timeline. It's Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. This timeline does not go on very long. It should have. Y'all didn't see this movie in theaters, and y'all were pissed about it, and I get it. If it was just called Season of the Witch, which is actually a movie that already exists, I think a lot more people would like this, but given it was called Halloween 3, and there's no Michael Myers, except for they're watching it on TV, and certain actors that are in Halloween show up, like Linda from the first movie that gets killed, the sheriff's daughter. She's in it and has kids. It's super weird because she was actually married to Tommy Lee Wallace, who was the production designer in the first movie, and I think would direct.
This is such a weird film, honestly.
Also, Jamie Lee Curtis is in it very, very, very briefly. She has a voiceover appearance when there's like, the curfew is now in effect. The curfew is now in effect. That's actually Jamie Lee Curtis's voice. I don't know why they decided to get her for this, but so basically, John Carpenter ran out of ideas to do with Michael Myers, so they're just like, you know what? Halloween is a holiday as well. Shocker, I know. So they're like, let's just make anthology movies about Halloween the holiday. So that's what this was an attempt at anthology style, not necessarily trick or treat, because those are multiple in one. This was one self-contained story about a really bad alcoholic washed-up deadbeat dad/doctor that witnesses a murder one day of a dude basically setting himself on fire and blowing up a car after he just killed somebody. So he and a daughter of the guy that just died go on this like journey to figure out what's going on in Santa Mira. So they drive down and they visit the Silver Shamrock Mask Factory. God, that jingle's gonna be stuck in my head until Christmas, I swear. So basically, this guy named Connell Cochran is making these masks for children, and they're all going to be at this big giveaway at Halloween. They're going to watch a Halloween movie, and during that time, there's going to be a special commercial with the big giveaway. And so he's making these special masks, and there's this other family visiting the mask store with, mustache discount Tom Selleck, Tom Atkins. Tom Atkins is there.
Jeez.
He's in other stuff, but he just kind of looks like they couldn't get. I know Tom Atkins is great. Don't kill me. I think he was in Drive Angry. I think he was.
I wouldn't doubt that at all.
So this other family is the quote unquote test family. So the kid puts on one of the masks. He's super excited. The family's watching the commercial when all of a sudden the kid starts touching his face and grabbing his face. And his face, he's wearing a pumpkin mask. His face actually starts to become a rotting, disgusting, actual pumpkin that's melted onto his face, and his face becomes a portal to hell. Live snakes and live insects are crawling out of his eye sockets and his mouth and his ears, and he is still alive and twitching. It is revealed that Connell Cochran and all of his robot clone minions, yes, this is a Halloween movie, are like lords of evil and mischief, and they stole Stonehenge to perform old mystic rituals to basically turn a whole bunch of kids evil. It sounds ridiculous, and it is ridiculous. It's like a Twilight Zone episode gone wrong.
This is the actual Despicable Me 3 plot. Is they steal Stonehenge to create interdimensional hell portals.
Yeah, they steal Stonehenge, which it's never explained how they stole Stonehenge. They just stole Stonehenge into their underground
Stonehenge.
Stole Stonehenge to put it in their underground facility to perform old Celtic magic and basically rid the world of kids or something, or like make Halloween about the trick part and trick or treat again. So it ends with potentially some kids all becoming whatevered. It kind of ends on a dour note. But yeah, naturally, Halloween 3 did not do well. Hence why Halloween 4 is called The Return of Michael Myers, because they're like, please, we promise Michael's in this one. We did our own thing with 3, which, y'all, 3 is bonkers. I love it so much. It's probably the most Halloween of all of the movies. Like, the holiday is so prevalent in the movie. But yeah. Fast forward to 2007. Linkin Park is everywhere, except in this movie, apparently. As we get...
Quite literally, actually.
Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Okay.
Let's be honest, though. The first one is watchable. Not good, but watchable. When it comes to Rob Zombie movies, if I have to, like, gun to my head, the first Rob Zombie Halloween is probably the Rob Zombie movie I would watch if I had to watch a Rob Zombie movie. Not saying much, but choices are made in this movie. They're like, but if you show the origin of Michael Myers, doesn't that make him less scary? Yeah, no duh. Michael's not scary in this. And also, Rob Zombie doesn't know how to use the Halloween music. There's literally a time when there's a parent-teacher conference, and Michael runs away from the parent-teacher conference. When he's running away from the parent-teacher conference is the first time we hear the Halloween music. I'm going, he's gonna murder someone in about like 2 minutes. Why don't you use the music there instead?
Because this is the build. He actually killed someone that night. We just didn't see it. It's all American Psycho out here, dog. You just didn't. It happened off camera.
He literally kills Junie from Spy Kids, who's a little twat in this. You know.
Oh, Daryl. I love me some Daryl.
Mr. Megan Trainor nowadays.
God, what a guy. What a guy.
He basically kills his whole family. Although Rob Zombie's Halloween has one of my like unintentionally hilarious moments of in the original Halloween, Michael kills his sister after she hooks up with some other guy. Same thing with the Rob Zombie one, except it's Rob Zombie, so it's a lot more graphic. So he kills the boyfriend. He starts to go after his older sister. For some reason, he decides now is a good time to wear the iconic Michael Myers mask for the first time when he's a child. So you have child body with regular adult-sized mask, so it looks like like if Wee Man played Michael Myers chasing someone. It is the most unintentionally funny thing. Like, they're trying to make it scary, but here comes 3'6" Michael Myers with a huge freaking head chasing after you.
They put on big head mode.
That's exactly what happens.
Oh no.
But then
that's not the move, dog.
And then the second half of the movie happens, and the last 45 minutes is just a sped up version of John Carpenter's Halloween. It's just the same thing over and over again. However, this time, one of the friends of Laurie is played by Danielle Harris. You know, Jamie Lloyd from all the way back when in Halloween 4 and 5. That was a nice tip of the cap. Also, I saw on today that they're having the Halloween Ends like premiere. And Danielle Harris was on the red carpet. So good for her. I hope that she hasn't been totally burned. I know she wanted to come back for the Blumhouse movies, but it logically doesn't make sense. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Why? Any other thoughts on Rob Zombie's Halloween, Josh?
Nah, dog. It's just hard to watch. It's somehow like more violent, but like less watchable at the same time. Oh man. Like at least in Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, like it's definitely violent, but like it's like you can tell what's happening. That's the big thing.
But before we get there, we gotta suffer through, and y'all can't convince me otherwise, the worst Halloween movie in the entire frickin' franchise, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. So Halloween 2018, we're just no, there's
What? Oh, we're just skipping. Okay, cool.
I want
No,
to,
I'm okay with
but
that.
there's so
I'm
much.
okay with that.
There's so much to dissect with Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 of just why. So as we talked about earlier, the original Halloween 2 from 1981 was a direct continuation of the original Halloween, like takes place minutes after. Rob Zombie's like, that's a cool idea. Let's make that a dream sequence at the beginning of the movie. So like Laurie's stuck in the hospital, whatever else. Except this time, Michael kills everyone, including Laurie. Psych. It was a dream sequence the entire time. So the first 20 minutes that you spent watching this movie were a waste of time and a waste of Viola Davis for some reason being in this movie. Random appearance from her. But in reality, Laurie Strode is so emotionally traumatized from the events of the first movie that she's just psychotic. She is
She just doesn't exist.
she's not too dissimilar to Kurt Cobain's wife. What's her face?
Courtney?
Yeah,
Courtney Love?
she's very Courtney Love in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Her therapist, for some reason, though, is Margot Kidder from the original Christopher Reeve Superman movies, which is the weirdest bit of casting. Danielle Harris is in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, and honestly gets the most brutal and uncomfortable death in the entire Halloween franchise, and I'm including the one from Halloween Kills with the staircase. This one's uncomfortable because it's Michael brutally killing her while also having flashback scenes to her as a child actor from Halloween 4 and 5. So they're like, here, this character you love? Watch her dying as an adult. Yeah, it's a different character. Does this make sense? Is this just a cheap emotional ploy? Maybe.
Yeah.
But
no, it is.
It's so uncomfortable.
No, it
also,
is.
why does she not have clothes? We're just going to make it that much more humiliating for all involved. This is so uncomfortable, and I hate I hate it. Can we return it? And also Chucky is the sheriff. It's super weird casting there. But most importantly,
hold on. To clarify, the guy who plays Chucky, right? Not the actual doll.
Yeah, Grima from Lord of the Rings.
A way more interesting story.
Yeah, Grima from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, ew!
It is.
Oh! Wow! I never knew that. That's crazy.
That makes so much sense.
Wow. All right. Well, connecting those dots, that's great.
But so Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is also famous.
Wait, hold on.
We're not done. We're not done.
Sorry. The connection between Grima and Chucky is hilarious because both characters are people who are to take over something else in order to enact evil. Like Grima takes over the mind of the King of Rohan in order to enact evil, and Chucky takes over the body of a doll in order to murder people. Well, that parallel is weird. I don't like that.
Josh is just so happy with himself right now.
I am. I'm so proud of myself.
Well, at least something good came out of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 for Josh. This movie's famous for some other stuff. The infamous white horses. Oh, God. For some reason, we're following Michael for a lot of this movie, and he kind of just looks like a homeless man. So Daniel Bryan in 2014.
Love it.
He really is not wearing a mask for most of this movie, so you see his face the entire time. And he's seeing visions of his dead mom, all dressed in white, with a white horse. Why? You tell me. Up for interpretation. I don't know. So he's
Why
just
not?
if you kill your sister, you can come home. And I'm going,
hold on.
Can I go home?
I got this. Okay. Yeah. So we already made a Lord of the Rings connection. So it's his mom on the white horse is she was a wizard at one point, and that was only wore gray, and now she's back as the mom the white.
She was a stripper.
No, that didn't go as well as I wanted it to.
No. So the movie ends, and Rob Zombie movies end as Halloween, thankfully, in the worst fashion possible. Michael brutally kills Loomis and then breaks the cardinal rules of Michael Myers. What does Michael Myers never do? He never
Take off the
runs,
mask?
and he never talks. Michael full-on sprints Leroy Jenkins style at Laurie and just screams, "Die!" I'm going, yes, that's what the franchise should do right now. It absolutely should. And that's just how it ends. And I'm going, I don't think I paid money to see this because I think someone else rented it when we were in college. I wanted my time and my money back. I hate this movie so much. But that was 2009. And it killed the franchise, for better or for worse, for a very long time. The rights went all up in the air. It was Dimension for a while. I believe Dimension was the one who made 6 through Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Dimension lost the rights. Then some little company called Blumhouse comes swooping in going, "Ha-ha! I'm here!" I don't know what that was. That was a choice I made.
It's okay. I'm here now.
So Blumhouse is like, "We'll do it. We could absolutely turn iconic movies into something. We can reboot them just fine." Black Christmas. But Blumhouse made a very conscious choice from the get-go. You gotta flash it back all the way to the original Halloween, 1978. That's the only one that's canon for this Blumhouse timeline. Scrap 2 through H2O, 2 through the Jamie Lloyd stuff. So if you take out the second one, what's the big thing you're missing? Michael and Laurie are no longer brother and sister, which streamlined a lot of stuff.
It did.
2018's Halloween, it's just The Force Awakens. I like The Force Awakens and I like 2018's Halloween, but it's just The Force Awakens of Halloween. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's The Force Awakens.
Yeah, it's good. It's just a good.
What does that
solid
mean,
Halloween
though,
film.
Josh?
It means they're just basically retreading the first, but reestablishing everything that needs to be reestablished. So, I mean, yes, the first one is the only thing that exists. So technically, this is Halloween 2 now, which it absolutely just kind of, it doesn't rehash. It just kind of follows the same. The same story arc as I guess as you could say. Not Jamie. Well, I guess Jamie, yes, but Laurie is older now. There's a lot of family issues going on because of the events of the first film, and they use, like you said, like making 2 through H2O not exist just helps this movie so much because it just. So, like, I it's been a while since I watched it, but like having Laurie be older, having her family just not like understand why she can't get over her trauma, but then just it just keeps on. It reestablishes the Halloween kind of lore. It reestablishes what Michael's good at, what Laurie's good at. It actually turns Laurie into this actually really, really interesting character, and this actually like an actually like fascinating protagonist of like that just was not at all present in any of the previous films.
She becomes the Loomis, essentially.
I mean, like essentially, yeah, but like
They tried to set up a new Loomis, but at least for me, who had seen all the Halloween movies, I'm just going, that's not a Loomis. That's a trick. And sure enough, Dr. Sartain in Halloween. Oh boy, that was still to this day, a very controversial character. I hated the Sartain character, and the subplot of that, of like the mask is the power. Let me wear the mask. And also, I'm gonna stab this guy in the neck and run over him with my car, but come the next movie, he's totally fine.
Yeah.
Oh, also, the way Michael dies in the previous movies, H2O, he gets his head chopped off. Resurrection, he gets electrocuted in the balls and set on fire. Rob Zombie's Halloween, I think he just gets shot a couple times, and then
Yeah.
I don't care about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 to care. But 2018's Halloween, it's basically the original, just Force Awakens with some slightly new characters. Andy Matichak is a great addition as Jamie Lee Curtis's granddaughter. Karen Strode is also in the movie. She gets better slightly in kills, but I still don't like Karen all that much. I didn't really feel anything at the end of kills either. But the end of Halloween 2018 is the rematch of the century. If you don't acknowledge the one 20 years before with H2O, which is also the rematch of the century, or Halloween Ends, which is the other rematch of the century. This matchup's been Laurie versus Michael is the Brock versus Roman of the horror community. This is the last time, we swear. Just make it for real this time, guys. But basically, Halloween 2018 ends with Michael and Laurie fighting, and Laurie traps Michael in her basement and just like, yeah, this isn't a cage, it's a trap, and basically sets her own freaking house on fire. I'm going, oh, cool, he's gonna die this time, because fire is super effective, as we learned from Halloween 2, which is no longer canon. But in typical Halloween sequel fashion, we get to Halloween Kills, which was supposed to be 2020. That did not happen. Came out in 2021.
Gee, I wonder why.
2021. And it starts with firefighters coming to Laurie's house. She's like, no, let it burn, let it burn. And they rescue Michael Myers. But Michael Myers don't want to be rescued. So he halogens some dude in the chin. And it's great. The whole killing a whole bunch of firefighters was a legit action set piece. But Josh and I actually saw Kills together. So I know for a fact he knows what we're talking about for this one.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean, I've had, concussions since then, but that's not the point.
You've had a whole lot less concussions, though, since.
Fair. No, but yeah, it's I felt like the really good action set piece. And what's interesting is it actually felt like an action set piece and not just like, oh, we have a monster here who's going to kill people. Like they legit try to put up a good fight. And then after the firefighter, Michael goes to probably, to me, one of the second toughest kill to watch in the film, which is where he kills the two, the elderly couple.
That's uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable. Don't mess with that lady's drone. That's not fair. That's just let her have her fun. Everything about that scene is fantastic in that it is like they actually legitimately fight. They do the smart thing. I think one of them goes tries instantly. He's like, run. I'll try to keep him at bay. Go call the police or something. Like actually doing smart things in a scenario that's not just like, oh, the big guy in here, what are we gonna do? Nah, everything about that scene is fantastic. Until they die and brutally. And it's I will say this. If anything, Halloween Kills does not pull its punches at all.
No. There's a lot of brutal deaths. There's one in particular of the granddaughter, Alice, and her boyfriend just gets messed up. There's a certain point that you're just like, okay, Michael. Okay, Michael. Okay, Michael. Jeez, he's dead. Okay. Stop it. Stop playing with your food. Wait, he's not a dog. Which Halloween Kills does the unnecessary thing of actually showing the dog that he ate in the first one. I'm going, why? Why? We got the visual from the words alone, which, okay, we haven't talked about it yet. Halloween Kills has one of the greatest sequences in the entire Halloween franchise. I don't care if you like Halloween Kills or not. The first 20 minutes of Halloween Kills is a freaking
oh my gosh
masterpiece.
Yeah, because we completely skipped over that.
What did they do, Josh? What did they do?
That's a shot for shot. Okay, not shot for shot. Basically, they recreate the ending of Halloween 1?
They make up their own new one.
Yeah.
Basically, they go back to 1978. They recreate the look and the feel of that original Halloween down to
100%.
The Michael mask, how he walks. The Myers house is actually there perfectly. You went back in time and they went back to that original movie, but somehow, some way, they brought back the Dr. Loomis character because it makes sense because he was there that night. Obviously, Donald Pleasance died about 20 years ago, so they couldn't get him. The actor that they did get, oh my god, he's just Donald Pleasance reincarnated. Yes, they had a little bit of prosthetics on him, but he already naturally kind of looked like Donald Pleasance, so it wasn't a big stretch. But they brought back Dr. Loomis, and first 20 minutes are worth it. And it helps set up the stage later that Michael just, in this movie, just wants to go home. He's not after Laura anymore. It's not the sibling thing anymore. It's Michael just wants to go home to the Myers house. I will also have a soft spot for Halloween Kills as well, because they brought back a lot of characters from the original Halloween. They brought back Tommy Doyle. Didn't end well for him. They brought back Lindsay Wallace, the other kid she was babysitting. She made it out okay. Sheriff Brackett, all these people from the original movie, and it was nice to see them like, this feels like a proper Halloween sequel using characters that we know and love.
Yeah.
Granted, most of them die violently, and Michael absolutely wins in this one. Kills Laurie's daughter in the process, but Kills is excessive. And if Kills has any issue, it's being the middle part of a trilogy and not really knowing what to do with its time. So we get to Ends. Granted, we haven't seen it yet, but we know enough from the trailers that the real-time difference has happened. So, like, this Ends will take place in 2022, not in 2018. So there'll be like a 4-year gap between Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, which I'm still don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, we'll see how they handle everything, because I don't like bringing back the pandemic stuff, but at the same time, there's some interesting things you could do with that. We'll see. I'm not exactly sure how to feel about it.
Yeah.
I will say, Kills does a really good, like you said, and unfortunately is the middle part of the trilogy, but it kind of hammers home this idea that mob mentality is an absolute thing, and absolutely go after the wrong person multiple times just because they're just scared. And instead of listening to the authorities and trying to give them some guidance, and they end up actually murdering like a completely innocent dude. So it's like,
well, that's what they had to do, because evil dies tonight.
Yeah, evil needs to die tonight, guys.
I don't think we said it enough. Evil dies tonight.
No. Evil did die that night.
Yeah, Karen.
Yeah, that all the people that actually that is the one thing that I do appreciate. It is anybody that was involved in accidentally, quote unquote, accidentally murdering that innocent dude. They end up getting their comeuppance via Michael later on. There's some kills in this film that don't quite like physically make sense, like when he happens to open that door into that lady's hand and it happens to move her arm in a specific way so that she shoots herself on the head. I was like, all right, okay, whatever. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of really cool stuff. But like, I am going to be very, very intrigued to see how ends. What they end up doing with everything, because the trailers look great. It's still a little weird that the review embargo is still up.
Yeah, that's never a good sign. Like, I don't know, just the lack of buzz doesn't get me overly amped about this. But then again, when it comes to Halloween movies, I tend not to let the critics sway my opinion, because critics, the only one that they like is Halloween 2018 and the original movie. I'm going, screw you all, they're all fantastic except 5, 6, and the zombie ones. We don't talk about those. Like, I love the entire franchise. Even 5 and 6, I'll still watch them every once in a while, just because I love the franchise that much. So even if the critics say it's bad, I'll be like, well, what's your barometer for that? Because, like, is it dumb fun or is it just dumb? Because there's a difference. Like, but I just, more than anything, I just want resolution for this storyline. Like, let Laurie rest. Laurie's my favorite final girl in any horror franchise, but just let her rest. Whether it's rest in peace or just rest, I don't care. As long as you do the character justice, that's all that matters. Just end this one out on a high note, for crying out loud. We've been through enough with the Halloween franchise. Well, what do you guys think? If you had to pick one specific Halloween timeline as your favorite or the best, what would it be? Would it be the Blumhouse era, the Jamie Lloyd storyline, the Michael versus Laurie storyline, including H2O? Let us know in the comments below. What's your favorite Halloween moment? Let us know that as well. We always like hearing from you guys.
Rhymes.
Huh?
Buster Rhymes, without a doubt.
If you haven't already, subscribe to us on whatever audio platform you're listening to us on, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube. And if you haven't already, subscribe to us on YouTube. Help us get to 700 subscribers. Again, we're only 8 subscribers away from 700. Help us get there before the 200th episode. And again, we're right around the corner from the 200th. Really excited for you guys to hear that one. Make sure that you spread that to all your movie friends. And as always, stay sharp, movie guys and gals.